Well, when I first got there, it might have been 12 people from LA in that place at the time. So I'm not knowing that, it's full of people from Northern California. So when I stepped up in there, I'm leaving Norwalk, I'm leaving Central Juvenile Hall, I'm on some bang, bang, bang. So when I step up in there, I'm on it. I'm saying I'm on the BS. And the first day there, the counselors introduced me to everybody. And when they left, a dude walked up to me like, "Hey, how you doing, bruh?" Now in this day and age, everybody says that word, but when I was coming up, nobody used that word except for the cats from Northern California. And so when he's like, "Bruh," I didn't know what bruh meant. I'm like, "What's up, cuz?" And they looked at me strange. I'm looking at them strange. So they like, "Where you from?" I'm like, "From Avalon Gangster Crips." And the dude looked at me like I said something that came from another planet. And when he asked me, "What is that?" I thought he was trying to disrespect me. I was ready to fight. And so when I teed up on him to get down with him. And so he looking at me like, "Man, what you tripping on?" It's another dude that stepped up from San Francisco. He had some family members from LA. And so just so happened he knew what a Crip was, or he'd heard about it. And he was like, "Oh, you from LA? You from that stuff in LA?" I'm like, "Yes, sir," And he was like explaining it to me. "Hey, well, they don't have that here. It's a couple of people here from Southern California." He didn't say, "So you just said LA." And so I'm like, "Okay." And like the first 2-3 months was like a culture shock. But every time the bus came up, it was dudes getting off the bus from, Southern California. So within 6 months, we had told him people spot up. It was fights all in church, the chow hall, up along the track, the school. They didn't understand what was going on. They like, "Why you guys from, Southern California fight so much?" You know what I'm saying? They didn't know what no gang banging was about.
Now, did you ever cross paths with rivals like Villains and Peblos in Juvenile or YA?
Believe it or not, my road dog's brother, Baby Knot, had came up there. He was from Villain. He had came up there, and I starred. Let me see. I seen I think a dude from Anthony's Park. He had came up there. We was in Juvenile Hall together. But other than that, everybody else I was meeting, I was just meeting them for the first time then.
Okay. So there was no issues, no crazy issues with that?
Oh yeah, with us and them. Yeah. It was on site. We was getting them up. The administration couldn't understand what was going on. When you're like, every time we let you dudes out for school or church or anything, y'all running across the grass, y'all fighting each other, y'all fight, like I say, fighting in church, fighting in the chow hall, you fighting everywhere, and they didn't understand what it was because, like I say, this Crip and Blood thing was all the way totally new to them. But, like I say, within 6 months to a year, they learned real fast.
Now, did they have like the hole when you get in trouble up there for fighting? Did they put you in the hole at that time? Yeah,
the hole was a unit called Indio. I stayed in it.
How many days would they keep you in there?
At that time, you get in a fight, you can do 24 hours and get out.
Okay.
Yeah, you do 24 hours and get out.
Yeah. Okay, so when is it that you bump into Lil Fee?
I had been in OH clothes for about maybe about 8 or 9 months because he came up there in 1981. And that's when he came. So when he came on the unit, when we coming back from school, we coming in from school. I looked over there to the side where the chairs were, and when I seen him, I automatically knew he had to be from LA somewhere, just the way he was dressed and looked. So the police, the staff, they did their little speech, and they like, we got a new resident and blah blah blah. He's from California. He's from Southern Cal, and boom. So we looking. So when the police got ghosts, we went over there to him like, "What's up, cuz? Where you from, homie? I'm Lil Fee from 6-0. So I'm like, "Oh, okay." So homie that was on the unit, a dude named Gangster from StreetTV Gangster was there at the time. And what was Gangster's name? His name was Gangster. I ain't gonna say his real name, but that was gonna be an issue. That was almost, that was a problem. That was a problem. They had to go ahead and handle their business, and we got that little business out the way. And then after that, cool, because it was me, it was Gangster from StreetTV Gangster, Lil Fee from 6-0, it was Lil Man from Insane. He ended up turning Grape Street, and it was the homie Gangster John from Insane. It was about 5 or 6 of us on the unit.
I think you also said Shank from Athens.
Shank. Well, he was a blood. I was just speaking on the Crips.
Now, when the whole A-Tray 60 war started in '79, did the Avalons immediately take a side with the A-Trays? Because if you see someone like Lil Fee in YA, you supposed to take flight too, unless you guys weren't completely immersed in the war yet.
We did have nothing to do with that. You know, when they first went to war, you know, that was they been in, like I say, Avalon's was the last set to get involved with Crip on Crip violence. We didn't want nothing to do with Crip on Crip violence. It wasn't our thing. Around 1981, the homies started kicking it with the A-Tray gangsters though. The A-Tray gangsters started coming over here, and that's when the homies started getting tight with the gangsters because the 6-0s had started kicking it with the 5 Deuce Broadways. And they had started kicking it. So at that time, you know, they started having a little saying, 6-0 wherever I go, 5 Deuce whatever I do. And we had a saying, 5 Tray every day, 8 Tray anyway. And that's how we eventually kind of got sucked into that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so in the beginning, it really wasn't a gangster Crip, neighborhood Crip thing because
no.
the Broadways was gangster Crips.
Right. That gangster in hood thing, that didn't come about till, you know, not too long ago. That wasn't even an issue.
Well, wouldn't it have came up like maybe still in the 80s though? At some point in the later 80s? No?
No, not the way it is now.
Okay. Oh yeah.
No.
All right. So Lil Fee and Gangster, they get their issue on, right?
Yeah.
Just one time?
No, they fought twice, I think. They fought twice.
Okay. And
they got down and they weren't satisfied, then they got down again.
Okay. And you witnessed both of that?
Yeah, I watched the fight. Okay. Yeah, I had to watch it.
And who do you think fared better in those?
The homie Gangster was a little short, stocky, muscle bound dude. You know what I'm saying? Fee was a little taller than him, but Fee had hands. You know what I'm saying? Fee's hands were quicker. And you know, to be honest with you, I say they just really beat on each other till they got tired.
Both times.
Both times.
Okay. And then at some point, they got to put that to the side and live together, right?
Right. You know, that's when we stepped in like, all right, you know, y'all fought, homie, you know, boom. You know, even as little kids way back then, we kind of had to understand and look, we way up north, homie. You know, so, you know, y'all got it off y'all chest. Let's just, you know, do what we do. But they never, they were never cordial with each other, though. You know, there wasn't no instant fight and all that, but it was never we cool type get down neither, though.
Yeah. Lil Fee would have been 15 years old in early '81 because he was born in December of '65.
Oh, okay.
How old were you in early '81?
I was, I had to have been a year older because I was born in 1964.
Okay. Well, he was born in December of '65, so he turned 16 late '81.
Okay.
So, but this was early '81, right?
So he was 15.
He was 15,
and I was already 16.
Yeah. You just as a side note, do you know how many years Lil Fee was on the streets before he got taken away?
You know what? But which, for that case or for the murder?
No, I'm saying Lil Fee's banging career on the streets. Not in jail, but on the streets. You know how much time he spent on the streets? I
couldn't tell you.
I calculated it. Because he was in YA for a lot of his teenage years.
Right.
And got out and got arrested as an 18-year-old. He was on the streets for 1.5 years.
Well, that was kind of like my thing.
1.5 years.
Well, mine wasn't even a year from. Let me show you something.
Because they took him at 18, so he was gone.
He was gone.
He was gone.
But you know that's kind of the MO of back during that time. You know, all of us from that era that were banging hardcore. That was what it was. You know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you this: between the ages of how old were you when you first went to juvenile hall?
The first time I went.
First time.
I had to been 14, I think.
Okay, so between the age of 14 and 18, when you became an adult, how much of that time was in juvenile hall or YA?
Well, put it like this here. Well, just juvenile hall and YA or prison too?
No, because prison's after 18. We'll say.
Oh, let me see. I got out. All of it, homie, other than maybe 4 months.
From 14 to 18, you was pretty much locked up most of that time.
Yeah. Oh no, from 14 to 18, I was locked up all of it except for 2 weeks. I got out 1982. I stayed 2 weeks and went back.
Okay, so you don't even have a year on the streets between 14 and 18.
We'll put it like this. Before I got out this last time, I didn't have a year on the streets from 1979 till 2018. I had only been on the streets for 11 months and 22 days.
That's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy.
I would get out and go right back. But you know, when you develop that type of syndrome, I would do more in 2 months than the average person would do in 2 years, because I was on go from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep.
And I guess the same with Lil Fee. Lil Fee was mostly in jail throughout all his teens.
Right.
But he did have a nice 1 year run where he wasn't incarcerated.
Right.
But so how long was you in the OH closed facility with Fee and the rest of those guys?
Just a few months. Fee got shipped, and I got shipped right behind him. Where he got shipped, where he went, I don't know. But I left there, went to Carl Holden. From Carl Holden, end up going down to Paso Robles.
Okay.